couple important details in the question. It says determine whether the dilation. Okay, is there a reason why you're still talking? Okay, a dilation is when a shape grows or shrinks. The two shapes are similar, meaning that they are proportional when you have a dilation. For this one, it's saying it's dilating from figure A to B. That is important, that is from A to B. And then you have to determine whether it's a reduction and enlargement. So the fact that it tells you it's from A to B is important because then you can say whether it's a reduction or enlargement. So from A to B, A is bigger, B is smaller. So therefore, it is a reduction. So that is the first part of the answer. And then it says find its scale factor. Scale factor is how much bigger or smaller the other shape is from the original. In this case, it's going to be how much smaller, like how many times smaller. To determine that scale factor, you choose a dimension like side length, and you compare the two side lengths of it. So I'm going to choose this corresponding side to this corresponding side. You could choose any dimension. You could even choose height of the triangle if you wanted to, but it needs to be a dimension. And I chose this side specifically because I can count the units. So this here is 2 units. Like this length right here is 2 units, and then this length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units long. And for scale factor, it is the new shape over the original. So it's from A to B. So B is a new shape, so that would be 2 over 6. And then I need to simplify that scale factor if I can. So divide both by 2, and I get a scale factor of 1/3. So shape B is 1/3 the size of the original shape A. Another thing that I want to point out in case they talk about coordinates, when it's dilated from the center, the coordinates of, let's say, this point right here are -3, -3. And then if you multiply that by the scale factor, you'll get the coordinates of shape B. So this would be -1, -1, which it is, because you can multiply these by 1/3 to get the coordinates of the other shape. Just FYI. Okay, this one right here, same idea. It's from A to B. It wants to know whether it's an enlargement or reduction from A to B. The shape is getting bigger, so it is an enlargement. And then just like we did before, we need to find scale factor. So we choose corresponding sides, preferably ones that we can count easily. Like this corresponds to this. This would be 2 units, and this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. And it's always new over the original. So the new one would be B, so it would be 5 over the original 5 halves. So triangle B is 5 halves times bigger than triangle A. And that's what it means. And again, you could take the coordinates and multiply them by 5 halves and you'd get the new coordinates too. Okay, the bottom portion talks about the value of trig ratios, and it's just talking about the ratio. It doesn't even want you to solve for an angle measure. So we're going to be using SOHCAHTOA, but we aren't solving it all the way. So it says, what is sine of C? So angle C is right here. Sine of X equals O over H. So from C, opposite would be right here, hypotenuse right here. So sine of C is 28 over 35. When you go to look at the answer choices, it's most likely going to be a simplified version of this because it would be always best to simplify your fractions. So to simplify this, I'm just going to divide by a common factor like 7. Sine of C equals 4 over 5, and that is the answer. And they just want you to take it that far on these examples. So to find the actual degree, 4 divided by 5, and then you could do second sine if they're asking for the angle measure. Okay, and then this here, cosine of A, angle A right here, cosine of X equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine of A from this angle adjacent right here, hypotenuse, be 30 over 34. Then divide by, in this case, the greatest common factor is 2. Cosine of A is 15 over 17. And then the next one, this one, cross out this number, because on the edited version of this, they took out this number, and they want tan of z. So tan is opposite over adjacent, so this would be opposite and adjacent, but they don't give you the opposite side length. So to find that opposite side length, we would use actually Pythagorean theorem to solve for that. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 28 squared plus x squared equals 35 squared. Square root of both sides, and x equals 21. So you would solve for the length or the side that you need, so this would be 21. And then tan of z is opposite over adjacent, so tan of z is 21 over 28. And then simplify if you can. Tan of z is 3 over 4. And that's the answer.